German Special Envoy for Syria, ستيفان شنيك. Welcome to النهار. ستيفان, German diplomats have held talks in Damascus with Syria's new transitional government. How would you describe this encounter with the new Syria leader?
Well, first of all, it was a meeting with Syria. We came to visit the first time Syria after at least 12 years. So we met a lot of different representatives of Syrian society. We met civil rights activists. We met victims of the former regime. We wanted to listen to the people. We met Christian representatives. We met our old partners, the White Helmets. So we want to get a whole impression, and of course also the interim government. We wanted to talk to establish new contacts and to see where we can cooperate in the future, how we can support inclusive process. And Germany has a special role to play because of 1 million Syrians who are living in Germany, and which will be a huge opportunity to work together.
Since all eyes are on Syria now and on Golani especially, how would you describe this man after your meeting with him?
I think the most important now is that peace will remain, and therefore we need an inclusive political process in the spirit of the UN process. Mm-hmm. And we have the understanding that the UN can help the Syrian people to come together from all different strands. And I think this is one of the most important things where we are now working at. And we had the feeling that this message was well received, as it was also well received that we offered to continue our help from the last years if the conditions are in place. And Germany is ready to go also further on topics like sanctions, on topics like economic cooperation for the sake of the Syrians, if the inclusive process continues to get more participants.
Okay. The talks focused on the political transition process and other issues, as the foreign ministry said. What did you hear from Golani regarding the protection of minorities and women's rights?
We had a delegation there which was mixed, and we were all very much welcome, and there were no restriction in this regard, which we very much appreciated. It's an important signal. And we heard also from different representatives of different communities, from Christians, Alawite, from the Druze, that there had been a reach out, at least in the first days. So I think there's an understanding how important is it that communication happens and all groups are involved. Now it has to be put into a political process, like a constitutional committee, like a national dialogue, and the UN stands ready to support this. And I think the first signs are positive, and we very much encourage everybody to involve into this process.
Did your discussions tackle the Captagon issue, since you were following this crisis along with other countries?
Yes, Captagon, we touched upon shortly. It gives me the opportunity to underline, of course, that it was a big blow to the Captagon industry, but we now have to act quickly with the political process and also with the economic rebuilding of Syria in order to really end this business, because it's not done within a day. There's still a market, and if we don't find alternatives at this point, there's a huge risk that it restarts at a certain point. But for the time being, we must admit it is a positive development.
Berlin is considering when the German embassy in Damascus could be reopened. Does this indicate that Berlin views Syria as being on the right path toward democratic political transition?
It means that we want to engage and offer our help. The opening of the embassy will take a lot of time. It's a technical question, so I would like to a bit lower expectations. What we want to be present. That is important. We want to offer our help, to make this political process inclusive and successful, and to come to economic issues to develop. And we have now, I think, stretched out our hand, and we are hoping very much that we will find on the Syrian side a partner with whom we can really work together to bring things forward.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has indicated that the EU may consider removing some sanctions on Syria. Did you discuss this topic with Mr. Golani as well, or did you hear some demands from him in this regard?
I think the lifting of sanctions is a very important topic. The sanction worked. It has its part at the end of the Assad regime. It was meant to target the regime, and it put a certain part of this success of the removal of the Assad regime. Mm-hmm. So the reason for these sanctions are now gone, and we can discuss it within the European Union. But it is also a complicated thing. It's not that easy that you just lift it. There are sanctions still against Bashar al-Assad. We don't want to remove those sanctions, and I think we all agree. Also on military, on weapons, I think there's no reason to raise it now. But on the civilian side, we are very much interested in facilitating the support of the Syrians and to support economic development. Therefore, financial sanctions or sanctions, for example, against airlines would be one of the first topics we should concentrate on. But also here, I would like to lower expectation. We cannot just finish those sanctions within 2 days. It will take a process in Brussels, so I ask for a bit patience.
Of course. My last question is about the debate in Germany about repatriating the Syrian refugees. I want to hear from you about this issue.
It is indeed an internal discussion, but at this point, I think our Ministry of Interior and their institutions took the wise decision to say, we are now not looking actively into this fight because the situation in Syria is still very unclear. So it would be premature to now come to decisions on this topic, and we have to wait how the situation on the ground will develop, as there are a lot of hopes, but also a lot of risks still included. So it's not the time to take definitive decisions.
Your last word for Syrian people, since you are the German envoy to Syria.
I would like, first of all, to congratulate and to hope, to express my hope that you will overcome the horrible history and that you will open the book for a new future where you work together in a democratic and free Syria, and where you will be able also to build your homes back and to develop your agriculture again, and where you can beware your rich heritage, so that the world will come one day back to Damascus as tourists to admire the rich culture of Syria.
Thank you so much, Stéphane.
Thank you very much. All the best.